Hi everybody, today we are going to talk on New Total English Advanced Unit 1 challenges. We're going to discuss your language learning experience, verbs, adjectives, and nouns with prepositions. So please discuss the questions. How many languages do you speak? Why and how did you learn them? Why might the people need to know different languages? What jobs require several languages? Do you think it's easier to learn a new language when you already know other languages? Why and why not? And do you know any polyglots, people who speak many languages? So please stop the video and answer these questions. And we will read the text. The title is Great Language Learners. Here are the pictures up to the text, and the text is: according to legend, Cardinal Giuseppe Mezzofanti, 1774-1849, who spoke 72 languages, once learned the language overnight in order to hear the confession of two condemned prisoners the following morning. While this story sounds too amazing to be true, there are polyglots who have achieved quite staggering feats of language learning. Arguably, the greatest of all was Francis Sommer. Brought up in Germany, Sommer was still a schoolboy when he succeeded in learning Swedish, Sanskrit, and Persian. On a trip to Russia, he mingled with the international community and, so the story goes, learned a dozen European languages. He later moved to the United States, where he worked as a research librarian, and by the 1920s he had mastered 94 languages. If you don't know the meaning of these words like staggering feat or mingled, you will need to look up for them in the dictionary. Another great linguist is Stephen Wurm, professor of linguistics at the Australian National University at Canberra. Wurm benefited from the fact that he came from a multilingual family. His father, also a linguist, asked everyone in the family to speak to the child in their own language. This meant that his mother addressed him in Hungarian, his father in English, his grandfather in Norwegian, and his grandmother in Mongolian. Because of Wurm's father's work, the family also lived for periods in Germany, Russia, China, Argentina, and Turkey. As a result, Wurm spoke 10 languages by the time he was 6. To most of us, the achievements of polyglots seem superhuman, but the polyglots themselves don't see it in a way. Kenneth Hale, a linguistics professor who speaks around 50 languages, believes his talent bears similarity to that of musicians. And while talent is one factor, a love of languages is essential. Hale recalls the time when he was learning Navajo. I used to go out every day and sit on a rock and talk Navajo to myself. Languages became an obsession. I let everything else slide, he says. David Perlmutter, professor of linguistics at the University of California, likens the process of language learning to a puzzle. Mastery, he believes, stems from the joy of solving the puzzle. If you know English and German, he says, it's easy to learn Dutch. Therefore, once you know Spanish and another Romance language, you can pick up Portuguese quickly. But is there any chance that these super polyglots might get confused? Do they ever get nervous about copying their languages? According to Kenneth Hale, it does happen. Occasionally, he begins speaking in one language and, without knowing it, finds that he has drifted into another. It happens especially when it's difficult to distinguish between related languages. Unless I'm attentive, I can mix up languages like Miskitu and Sumo, both of which are spoken in Central America and are very similar. Francis Sommer felt the same. Fearing information overload, he gave up learning new languages in late life. Of today's polyglots, Zaid Fazar, a Lebanese living in Brazil, is probably number one. A speaker of around 60 languages, Fazar, unlike many great polyglots, was not born into multilingualism. Besides his native Arabic, he learned only French and English at school and taught himself in other languages. His astonishing abilities have had some interesting consequences. On one occasion, the Brazilian police stopped an undocumented alien who was babbling unintelligibly. They asked Fazar for help. Fazar realized immediately that the man was from Afghanistan and speaking a dialect called Hazaris. On another occasion, the US consulate grew suspicious of Fazar's ability to speak Chinese and Russian. Suspecting that he was a terrorist, they brought him in for questioning. After 2 hours, however, he was released. Fazar is not widely known, though that may change. In recent years, he has appeared on TV programs in Greece and Spain, where he was quizzed in multiple languages, including Hungarian, Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, and he passed with flying colors. While these earned him a reputation as a phenomenon, he still knew languages behind the legendary Cardinal Mezzofondi. Unlike Mezzofondi, cannot claim to learn languages overnight, but he can apparently learn 1,000 words a month, a gift that language students around the world would envy and admire. Okay, now please answer the questions. How did Francis Zomer learn his European languages? What advantage did Stephen Worm have as a learner of languages? According to Kenneth Hale, what type of talent do polyglots have? How is learning new languages sometimes easy, according to David Perlmutter? What bonuses and problems has Zayed Fazar experienced because of his linguistic abilities? And what do polyglots sometimes worry about? So stop the video and find the answers in the text. These are the questions for you. What are the benefits of being a polyglot? Are there any drawbacks? And in your opinion, what personal qualities are necessary to become a polyglot? Now we have some new words that you need to inherit, and they are master, let something slide, pick up, garble, an information overload, bubble or babble, unintelligibly, and dialect. Find them in the text. And please keep the definitions, like we have some words, and please listen to the definitions, like an information overload is when you have too much to remember. To pick up means to learn without consciously studying. To garble means to neglect something or allow it to get worse. To let something slide is to mix up or confuse words. To babble means to speak weakly in a way that is difficult to understand. To master means to learn something so well that you have no difficulty with it. Unintelligibly is in a way that is impossible to understand. And dialect is a form of language which is spoken in only one area with its own words or with its own grammar. Okay, so now we have some words and you need to insert the gaps to make the sentences be true. Stop the video and do the task. Thank you very much for attention. See ya. Bye.